Hello. This week, I'm going to talk to you about what it was really like for me to go through the 60 speaker applications I got for our upcoming virtual summit. So, last week, I shared why I used to be against speaker applications, why I decided to try it out anyway, and then what my thoughts were on the process. And this time, I want to give you more of a behind the scenes at the actual process of sorting through them all. And I'll just tell you right away, it was harder than I thought it would be, mostly because by default, I just think everyone is wonderful and amazing. And I never want to tell anyone no or be the reason that someone starts to doubt themselves, but I had to because otherwise we would have a 60-person, not at all strategically designed summit. And that is not what we're going for here. I had to put my highly sensitive Enneagram 2 self to the side and think strategically about this. So actually what I did to start though was remove any identifying information that would have made it difficult for me to remain impartial. So I hid people's names, email addresses, websites, anything like that. I didn't want to see one of my friends' names and let that influence my choice. I wish that was my idea, but credit for that idea goes to May Kay Sang, who you can hear from on our podcast, Summit Host Hangout. I interviewed her about her speaker application process, and that was something she talked about, and I thought it was so smart. Such a great way to make sure you're not creating a lineup of people just because they're your friends. So I did all that, and then I started reading through the submitted details about what topics they wanted to speak on, why they wanted to speak at the summit, and things like that. When there was a topic that caught my attention, sometimes I'd go right to the sample video, but a lot of times I would just give the application a rating. I wish I could say that the rating system was as simple and streamlined as yes or no, but that's not how I roll. My ratings ended up being yes, if there's room, leaning towards yes, consider, probably not, and no, which was kind of ridiculous. Basically, it was yes, no, and then 4 ways to say maybe, but it made sense to me at the time. I thought it might be helpful for you to hear though, what my process was like, and I'll also walk through here what made me go with an instant yes or no. I think this will be helpful for you from a host standpoint, but also from a speaker standpoint. If you're applying for things, what's making those hosts be like, yes, this person, or no, not that one, okay? The no's were easy. Those were people who didn't take the application seriously, had a topic that didn't make sense for the audience. They didn't actually pitch a topic and just said, I can talk about anything. Or had a topic that I knew wouldn't quite grab the attention of the audience the way that the applicant would have wanted it to, right? There were also quite a few topics that got pitched a lot. And those were branding. A lot of people pitched branding. A lot of people pitched just general mindset, and general positioning, general business positioning. Those all ended up just kind of blending together and ended up on the no list for the most part. So you want to make sure you're standing out. You want to make sure you take the application seriously. The yeses were people who had an application where I could tell they put some attention to it, right? It wasn't just a little one-line note in each field. They gave me a good amount of information. They were people who spoke really clearly and confidently about what they teach. I read what they wrote and I was like, they are an expert in what they're talking about. And a lot of times the topic just did most of the talking. So instead of a topic like branding for your business, I said yes to summit graphics that inspire confidence and credibility. It was just so much more specific than the others. Like I said, there were a lot of mindset related ones. So instead of just overcoming mindset challenges, a yes went to overcome imposter syndrome and finally launch a summit that converts. Again, so much more attention grabbing. And then there were also just quite a few unique topics that were perfect for the audience. And I'll let you wait till the summit starts being promoted here in a couple weeks to see what those were. But there were some that were just so unique and specific, perfect for the B2C audience, or perfect, a perfect fun topic about virtual summits that I was like, oh my gosh, yes, I want to feature this topic. So I went through one round. I saw where I was at with how many yeses I had. And then I did a little bit of a deeper review of those people, looking at the rest of the material they submitted in their application. That's also when I looked at those sample videos I briefly mentioned a minute ago. So in my application, I asked for people to submit speaking samples, whether it was a podcast, YouTube video, past presentation. If someone did not submit a speaking sample or had one that didn't show off an engaging speaking presence, I did turn those yeses to nos. I wanted to make sure this summit was going to be a really good experience for my attendees. I didn't want them to go to a topic that sounded exciting and see a presentation that did not reflect that and then be turned off for the rest of the summit. And then I did a couple more rounds of reviews with all the applications that weren't yeses or nos, just kind of trying to move more and more people into either the yes or no category instead of all those, 4 middle categories. But eventually people who weren't clearly in yes just ended up being no as I got into the pitching process and filled spots, both with applicants and people I was reaching out to directly. So if you're watching this video as a speaker, I think there's a couple of things you can take away. Get creative and specific with the topics you pitch for summits and podcasts. Show that you're actually interested and paying attention in your application, and then get a good recording of yourself speaking. Even if you are recording a made up presentation that you will not use for anything, have it handy, or be willing to make one when you're filling out an application. I also know there will be, this video is longer than I want it to be, but I know there will be some curiosity around how many of those applications ended up as speakers. So out of the 60 applications, I ended up pitching 17 of those people. All of them agreed to speak, and we have 29 total speakers. So 17 of my speakers are applicants, 12 are people I pitched on my own, which is a very drastic change from previous events. I think in my last one, I had maybe 2 that came from speaker applications. So I'm excited to see what the rest of the process holds and what's different in the way speakers are interacting and engaging in things because of this process. So that is what I have for you in this week's video. I hope it was interesting. I hope it was helpful. Remember, if you have Summit in a Box or in the Launch with the Summit Accelerator, you have all of our speaker application trainings, templates, all of that good stuff. I'm thinking next week I might talk about the approach I took for sponsorships in this year's summit, which was a different approach than I've taken in the past. We'll see if another topic grabs my attention before then. But I would love to hear your thoughts and questions on this video. Please feel free to leave comments and questions in the comments on Loom. I forgot to turn those comments on last week, so I'm going to remember this week. If I don't, reply to my email and yell at me. You can totally do that. But you can also head over to the Summit Host Hangout Facebook group or Instagram stories. I'll have posts up there on Thursday. You can join the discussion, and I can't wait to hear what you think.